Hey, and we are here. What's up, dude?
And not much, man. It's what I was gonna be outside for the call today, and I'm just like, fuck it, it's getting too cold. So you
Yes.
get me in the office.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, man. Still a little warm here. It was cold like last week, but it's so fucking,
Well,
you
we've been
know.
having kind of like an Indian summer going on, right? Like it's been warm,
Mhm.
but today is just all of a sudden took a fucking dip. I'm just like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Can we say Indian summer anymore?
well, I just did.
Dude, they just banned guns. Like, I mean, I know they banned guns, but now everybody's kind of waking up to the fact that you can't buy a handgun in Canada.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun here. A lot of fucking fun.
Dude,
Speaking
you
of what
guys
we
are
can and can't say, I'm still trying to figure out, can we still say snowman this year, or is that fucking gone too?
right. Yeah, probably.
We'll be building snow
Probably.
people.
So, as while we're like banning handguns and doing all this shit, there's of course another school shooting in St. Louis.
Yep.
Um, Let me share my screen. And then, and what's pissing me off as usual is that the police chief or acting police chief, whoever the hell this guy, we'll get to him in a minute, is looking at this as like a success. Um, Here's what basically happened. A former student, 19 years old, shows up to his former high school. So he graduated the year before. This is like, it seems like it's a Central Visual and Performing Arts high school.
Mhm.
Um, he shot a teacher and a teenage girl, and he wounded 7 others before the police killed him, which is usually how these things end.
Yeah.
So, guy, kid, murderer shows up um around a 9:11 a.m. and they see him. There's a security guard there, and the um security guard calls the cops. He
Okay.
doesn't. He's unarmed, obviously. I'm assuming he's unarmed. Calls the cops, and it takes the cops 14 minutes to respond. Police chief said, he doesn't know how he was able to get into the building, which has security guards, locked doors, and metal detectors. So he could have broken a window, or there could have just been a door open. A lot of times these kids just go out and check doors if they don't pull a fire alarm and everybody comes out.
Exactly.
Um, so, or, somebody let him into the building, right? I mean, that's the only obvious, I mean, they've got cameras. They're going to figure it out. I get why they don't disclose all the facts of the incident.
Yeah.
So the guy had, multiple high capacity magazines and a long gun. They didn't say what kind of rifle he had. But here it is. So yeah, I said the shooter call came in at 9:11 a.m. and they arrived by 9:25. And again, he's like, it could have been a lot worse. I'm like, but it could have been completely avoided if he was met by somebody with a fucking gun.
Yep.
I mean, there's 2 things we need. We need body armor on teachers and students, but definitely teachers and staff. And you need some people at the school who are armed to immediately meet the threat. I mean, to be clear, a 14-minute response time is about average for the nation. So even if you're here, even if you're a small town like me with the police station like right next door, your response time is still going to be 5 or 6 minutes. Many people can be killed in that amount of time. Like we always like to say, yeah, it's like 4 minutes, 5 minutes underwater. That's what response time is like. This
Exactly.
shit takes seconds. And, saying that could have been a lot worse when I'm saying it could have been fucking completely avoided. But they still look at this shit as a success. Look, they had metal detectors, they had security guards. Security guards, I'm sure, were not armed.
100%.
And they, come in and they're like, you know, um, you know, telling you, yeah, well, there could have been, 10 people killed. Tell this to the parents of the kids who are wounded and the people who are dead. Because the security guard saw the guy outside and he saw he had a firearm. Right? That's the time to do it. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not, I want to be clear here that in order to take that step and to take another life, even in justified, is not easy and not something you should, anyone should take lightly. But if you're taking that job, that's your job.
Yes.
So, the clear reality of having to use deadly force and protect innocent lives, especially when you're working at a school or in a large, mall or, what is that places? I mean, everybody should be trained and armed, period. That's it. You're going to see what's going to be happening, what happened in Australia, with the gun ban, violent crime still is there. They still have access to weapons. Yeah, you've got it in Canada is going to be an issue. All they're doing is defanging citizens to protect themselves. I mean, look, against 1.5 or more people, I don't care who you are. Right? There's going to be a problem.
Yep.
And like I said, I mean, you're carrying layers of protection. You've got an impact, you've got pepper spray, you've got an edge weapon, then you have your firearm and you've got your body armor. It's like, well, if, do I have to take all that stuff with me? I'm like, look, I mean, if you're going to these areas, if I go to the mall, right, if I go to a movie theater, if I go to, depending on where I go, if I'm going in and out of the city, you bet your ass I'm going to have those things. Right? I mean, you're looking in high traffic places, right? If I'm traveling, I bring what I can. I pack the nasty bits in the luggage and I take my backpack with me.
Yep.
That's it, because you don't know, right? I mean, you're going in and out of airports. You're going in and out, look, I mean, do you need it when you're, you make the call. But if, you're going out and I'm taking my firearm, I'm taking a backpack, I'm taking, the pepper spray, and I'm taking another alternate weapon, usually an edge weapon, because you use a knife for a lot of things anyway. So, I just, I'm looking at this stuff and this is happening, on the regular. And, the reality is I'm like, the problem is obviously, look, we've got a mental illness problem that's appearing as a gun problem.
Yeah.
Right. So you had actually more guns per capita 20 years ago than you do now. But this is how things have manifested themselves. And, it's, you look at like Columbine as like the jump off point for these things. And, they talk about, how they modeled that after the movie, The Basketball Diaries. I don't know if you ever saw that or remember it. They were wearing black trench coats. Leonardo DiCaprio came in and shot up the school in his like fantasy. It's clear that the kids got their inspiration from that. It's clear that they're getting their inspiration from media and first person shooter games. It's a fact. They're a part of, being into that media, being into that entertainment. It's like, this is how it's, now the notoriety that people get, and they get their name and they're suicidal. So instead of just killing themselves, they're like, I'm going to take everybody out with me. This is it.
Yeah.
So, you can't, firearms are not going away. There's over, like, we got like 2 for each person in the United States or something crazy like that. And you're just not doing it. It's not happening. And one, we don't want it to, because we're the only thing that keeps our government at check. I mean, that's kind of like, that's why it's the Second Amendment.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? The way, freedom of speech. And in order to say what you want to say, you carry, you're allowed to be armed. So, we can't, this is integral. And we're the only, real country that, gives people the right to own a firearm.
Yeah.
And they act like it's a privilege. Like, if I can protest, I can carry a firearm. That's it. I get, obviously, that you're not a freaking, you're not a felon, though. If you have done your time, I still think, if you've paid your a debt to society and are an upstanding citizen, I still think you should be able to vote, and I still think you should be able to carry fire. If that's how it works, right? I'm like, it's like, okay, I did what I did, I paid my dues, and now I'm back, right? So, so guns, like, to say ban guns, it's stupid, it's naive, it's short-sighted. I see it all the time. It's wishing it away. It's not going to stop anything, because you're still going to have access to firearms. There's still plenty of firearms out there floating around. Plenty of ways people can get them. I mean, look, heroin's illegal and you can freaking get it.
Yeah.
And firearms, you don't have to import. I mean, you can actually, you could, with 3D printing, with a minimal machining capability, you can make your own firearms. So that would just, that black market would explode. And if you really wanted to get it, you'd have to get it. See, most people are not criminals or insane, so they can't imagine what it's like to go get a firearm, right? Illegally, to get anything illegally, right? Of course, but they're not, you're not a criminal and you're not insane. So I don't know, how long before you think they come and confiscate your firearms, George?
Oh, Jesus. Who the fuck knows at this point?
Right. I mean, well, they're registered.
But thank you for letting them know that I have them.
Well, they already know they're registered, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, the only reason to register a firearm is for confiscation.
Yeah.
Because when police respond, at least what we have around here, it's not like they come up a list of weapons registered to the home. They're getting incident information. It's about, is the subject armed? Is he date? They gather as much information about what's going on for the size up as they respond. So it's not like they're coming up with a list of, unless you have, unless they know it's you and they'll have your criminal record. But again, that's not what happens like immediately when they respond. So, it's only for confiscation. That's the only.
And it fucking absolutely amazes me, because I think back to how many hoops I had to jump through just to get my restricted firearms license. Like,
right.
Restricted, not so bad, right? But restricted, I mean, that was a pain in the ass.
So what did you have to do?
Research. No, I mean, there's the training, right? But there's the whole waiting process for them to evaluate, for our RCMP to evaluate me as an individual, whether or not I have, the medicines that I'm fucking taking, whether I've been depressed, whether I've, done this, done that, it took a while to get that restricted license. And now, that all means fucking nothing, right? Like, I'm obviously law abiding enough to be given the restricted license, but you want to take that away from me.
What does restrictive license mean?
So restricted for like handguns, right? So
right.
You're not restricted is when you're getting like your shotguns and that kind of thing. So.
Okay, so, but you can't carry that out in
No,
public.
no, I can take my restricted firearm to the nearest gun club if I am part of
Right.
it. Right. I have the authorization to carry to there and back. That's it. That's the only fucking thing that I can do with it.
Right. Right. Huh. And then you could go hunting with your other. You
That's
can
right.
only go hunting with the rifles, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it'd be pretty bad if I was strolling down the street with it, especially here.
Right.
But yeah, that's about the extent of it.
Now, can you take a handgun with you hunting?
To the best of my knowledge, no, but I'm not 100% sure on that, so I don't want to say either way. But my understanding is no.
All right.
But anybody
Okay.
who's in Canada watching this, please feel free to like kind of jump in and let's discuss this. So,
Right. I'm like, it's what's happening up there. It's I don't know anything about the legal system or how your government's structured. Like, can you sue? I mean, okay, one, because this guy's like kind of like putting shit in like he's a king. Trudeau. I mean, it feels like this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to do it. Now that has to get passed and approved, right?
it does, but I mean, so for some reason he gets a lot of his shit passed.
Yeah. So, do you guys have like we've got midterm elections coming up which pretty much I think the other side is going to come in. I mean, our system sucks because we're stuck with two parties, right? And if like I'm more of an independent, so if or technically I guess a libertarian, I don't know, it's just I just don't want I want less fuckery with what I have to do. At the end of the day, I want to keep all our money here. I want to use diplomacy and commerce to negotiate with countries.
Yep.
Right. I mean, we don't need to necessarily send troops. We're like, look, dude, we'll buy oil, but if we're going to buy oil, we're going to do this. And you can't do this. And we're going to give you this. Right. So you get some type of dependency on us. Right.
Exactly.
So you can buy shit. Instead of being like, okay, we're just coming in to fuck you up. And again, like I said, I'd like to keep all our money here. I'd like to, just, stay out of my way unless I start fucking with somebody else.
Yeah.
Right.
And the unfortunate thing is it'll fucking never go that way, right? Like, I mean, I tend to agree with exactly what you're saying here, but at the end of the day, whether you're liberal or conservative here, it's two sides of the fucking same coin. It really is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've got the gun thing constantly, and then people just want to ban everything. And what they're actually doing is limiting our ability to protect ourselves. I'm going to talk about banning like bulletproof backpacks because the guy wore fucking body armor. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, you don't get hurt with this. And honestly, like a backpack or body armor, I'm like, you can make it out of anything. I mean, you could get the material cheap, duct tape it together, put it on your body, and put it under a shirt.
Yeah.
So, you don't need to, that's the least of your problems, right? What you want to do is be able to protect yourself while you escape or attack. So banning it doesn't do anything. And the stupid thing is with people with the backpack, that'll be in the next school shooting or, church shooting. I'm like, you understand how this freaking works. If I'm going to go shoot up a place and I'm going to wear body armor, the best thing I want to do is have it already on me and underneath my body. I don't want to be messing around with deploying a backpack while I'm going into while I'm approaching my target. So, that whole notion is just stupid and idiotic. The guys that are wearing body armors that are committing crimes already have it on. it's one less thing they got to freaking worry about.
Exactly.
So, this is a defensive, reactive tool. But, getting back to, the shooting, I mean, people say it time and time again. You need people who are armed at the gates. You need staff with body armor accessible during these attacks. I'm like, that's just it. We've got fire extinguishers. We've got, buildings that are made to a certain code for fires. I mean, there hasn't been a death in a school fire since the 1950s in America. So, great job there. But again, you get if that kid just pulled the fire alarm and sat outside and waited and this is not new. I'm not giving away a secret. This is what they did in Columbine. This is what they do. They're creating a kill funnel. Look, my kids got armor. My friends have armor. They have their backpacks with them. There's a freaking, that's it. There's a fire alarm that whatever, they're putting it on, they go. And I tell you, my kids are the only kids in their schools that have, armor that I know of. None of their friends do. I'm like, all right, do what you want, but not having somebody armed and trained there and who is willing to use deadly force is a huge mistake.
100%,
huge mistake. I mean, because the school board voted not to arm these guys. That's what happened. They're to blame. The school board is to blame. Right? You need to have somebody armed there, period. That's it. That's the only thing. And if that kid knew that there were going to be armed security guards there, do you think he would even go?
Absolutely not. He'd be fucking looking just for another easy target.
Correct. So it severely, I mean, he had a plan on how to get into the school or somebody to help him into the school. And, it took him probably several minutes to get into the school because 14 minutes is forever.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know, guys. What we're doing, if Uvalde didn't tell us anything, is that the government can't protect you. You are responsible for your own safety and the safety of your family. Period. It's all the civilized shit is. It's like it's an agreement. Right? You walk around and say, I agree not to punch you in the face. You agree not to punch me in the face.
Yep.
Right? I mean, as soon as somebody's like, fuck it. I hate my life. I'm going to kill myself. Let me just cause as much bullshit as I possibly can. Yeah. And that's it. And I'm just going to, take out a synagogue. Right? So, again, we talk about this all the time. The reality is there are only a certain small percentage of people who, one, accept this reality, and two, accept the responsibility for taking care of it, for doing something about it. It's easy to say, oh, well, the cops are there. It's easy. It takes the burden off of you, takes the pressure off of you that daddy's going to take care of you. All right. But truth be told, is what we all know, and then I'm preaching to the choir, is that, you're responsible for your own safety, period.
Yeah.
Period. All right.